This video is on combining like terms. This is just a carryover of the last video you were watching because we're going to start the same way we did last time. When you simplify an algebraic expression, you have to do it by combining your like terms. And on the first video, we already were combining, we're already circling our like terms and identifying which ones were like. So now we're just taking it a step further. So we're going to combine the common variable terms and the common constant terms. So the same thing, just like on this expression here, 14x plus 9 minus 2x plus 8 minus 5x plus 1. I'm going to circle all of the terms that are the same. So I have a 14x. I have a negative 2x. Remember, keep those signs with the term. Then I have a negative 5x. And I always start with my variable terms because variables should go first. And I'm also making sure that I've got them all, and I do. So I have, now I'm going to do the math. 14 minus 2, that gives me 12x. So if you want to kind of do it like this, that gives me 12x, and you took care of those two things there. Then I still have to minus the 5x, and 12x minus 5x. If I do that math there, that gives me 7x, and there's part of my answer so far. Remember, I'm also got to do all my constants, and the constants are going to be sort of the caboose of this. I'm meaning the end of it, just like a train. I have 9 plus 8 plus 1. So I'm just adding all those. And remember, I can add in any order. So the easy thing is I'm going to add 9 plus 1. That gives me 10. Plus 8 is 18. So I'm going to add 18 to this 7x. This is my final answer right there. That is simplified. That's as simple as it gets. Okay, so now we're going to work on number 12. This we just have variables or terms with variables to add together or combine. So we have a positive k and we have a negative 6k. This is like saying 1 minus 6. And when we do that, we get a negative 5. And of course, it's a k value though. It's a because it had a variable with it. So that is my answer there for that one. The next one we have, number 14. This time we don't have anything with our negative 2y other than negative 2y. There's nothing to combine, but I do need to bring it down into my problem. So this is negative 2y. I didn't have anything else to add to it or subtract to it. So that's all we have. Then I have the constants to worry about. So I have a positive 7 and I have a positive 12. Well, that's pretty easy to add together. A positive and a positive is more positive. So that's positive 19. And that there is my answer for that. That is simplified, as simple as it gets. Let's take a look at number 18. This time we have a couple things to do. We have some variables or terms with variables, and we also have two constants. So I'm going to circle my terms with variables first. I have a negative 2n and I have a negative 3n. The best thing, again, like I can say, is make sure you circle the sign with the term because it was a minus, but now it becomes a negative to help us do our math. So we have a negative 2 plus another negative, plus a negative 3. That gives us a negative 5n because we're combining them. The other way, think about the battle boxes if you want to. And also remember, you can use your Desmos and type it on your Desmos. The next thing we have is our constants. We have a positive 4 and a negative 19. Well, already I know my answer then has got to be negative when I do this. And so when I combine that, 4 minus 19, that gives me 15. And that is my answer there as in simplest form, so to speak, or simplified. I simplified that expression. All right, let's look at number 22. Remember, I'm just doing a couple of these examples, so then you can do the rest of them on your own when you're done with this video. So number 22, on this one, when I combine my all of my terms with variables, I have a negative 7x, I have a positive x, and I have a positive 6x. So this, again, is like saying negative 7 plus 1 plus 6. Well, when I combine that, negative 7 plus 1 gives me negative 6 plus 6. That gives me 0. That means what we're saying is all of those x values, they cancel out. I never put 0x or 0. I'm not going to put that. We just basically say they cancel out. So I'm literally just going to do that with it. So they're gone, but I still have the constant terms. So I have a negative 12 and I have a negative 9. A negative and more negative makes it a negative 21. And again, use your Desmos, use your battle boxes, use whatever you want to make sure that you are getting your integer, combining integers correct. So that is a negative 21. That is our expression simplified. Don't worry if the x's go away, or maybe even all the constants go away, and maybe we were left with, say, something like 8x or something. So that can happen. The next one we're going to work on is number 26. All right, so again, now this time I have two different sets of variables. I have C's and I have D's, and then of course I have a constant in there as well. So remember, we go in A, B, C order when we do this. So we want to make sure, and actually I think I forgot to say that at the front. So let's go back to the top. And I did. Okay, so one of the things we want to keep in mind, let's put the little note here for us. We do want to make sure that we're going in A, B, C order when we do this. And the other thing is, we want to make sure, and I mentioned this, but we want to make sure our constants are always going to be last. And again, I mentioned that, but I didn't actually, we didn't make a note of it. So let's make that note now. So we have that, and we have been doing that, but make sure you do follow that. ABC order, so variables first, constants last, just like we did here, variable first, constant last. And then on the one that we're about to do, we do have to worry about doing the, on number 26 here, we've got to worry about our order with our constants, because I have C's and I have D's. So I'm going to start with a C's, any term with a C. Positive 2C, negative 8C, and then minus C, and that's all my C's. So again, if you want to see it, it's going to be like 2 minus 8 minus 1. Remember, this C right here has an imaginary 1 right in front of it. I'm going to try to squeeze it in there. So that's like saying 1C, but in this case, it's a negative 1C. If it was plus C, it would be a positive 1. So this is the math I'm doing. 2 minus 8, that gives me a negative 6, and then minus 1 gives me a negative 7. So far I have negative 7C. Don't forget the C, because remember that was our term with a variable of C. Now I have my D terms with the letter D in it. I have a positive 7D. I have a positive 4D. All right, so again, that's like saying 7 plus 4. That gives me 11. So I have 11D, and it was a positive 11D. All right, the last thing we have, pretty simple. All I have left now is my constant that's all by himself, negative 5, and I'm just going to bring him down. He's minus 5. And that is my expression simplified right here. The last one I'm going to do for you on this part is number 27. This is one with fractions. Remember, don't panic when you see fractions. Think about what you need to do. I'm going to leave the harder fraction. Number 28 is a little harder, but you're going to apply the same principles. All I'm really doing is subtracting, and in a way I can kind of think of it without even the k's. I know my answer is going to have a k in it, but really what I'm subtracting is 11 over 4k minus 3 over 8k. Now, in order to subtract fractions, remember we have to have a common denominator. So my common denominator between between 4 and 8 is going to be 8. Remember, it can't be smaller than the largest number, so it can't be smaller than that. And I know that if I take 4 and times it by 2, I'm going to get 8. So if I take 11 and I times it by 2, I'm going to get 22. So my 11 over 4k becomes 22 over 8k. I'm subtracting, and this is going to stay 3 over 8k. All right, so now this is a lot easier to do. I have 22 minus 3, and that's going to give me 19 over 8. Remember, denominators stay the same, and it's k. I cannot reduce that. That's as low as it goes. But do remember that all fractions always have to be in lowest terms. Also remember, we do not want a decimal answer. It started as a fraction. We leave it as a fraction. If it starts as a whole number, like here on number 26, and we were to get an answer, make sure it's in a fraction form and not a decimal form. But always make sure our fractions are in lowest terms. And you can also leave it as an improper fraction. All right, so that is combining like terms. Do the rest of these on this page for practice. And when you're done, check your work.